Hey everybody, this is a new view, and if you have been seeking spiritual healing and physical healing, you're going to want to pull up a chair and hang out for a little bit. I am so excited. I know that word gets overused, but I genuinely am excited. I've got Pastor Clay Baggett with me, as always, on a new view. And today I've got a special guest, my dear friend, Gina Webb, who is a naturopathic herbalist.
Say that 5 times quickly.
Naturopathic herbalist. I got it. I've been practicing. And I am just, man, to have the two of you in this room and kind of hold you both hostage. And just sit with you and talk about these things. It's amazing to me. And I just want to see how these two thought processes intersect, because the two of you have devoted your whole entire lives to healing spiritually and physically. And this is just an amazing conversation. And I think a conversation that people are so hungry for.
Yeah.
And this is just incredible. Gina.
Here we go.
You are
what?
a busy person. You are
Yeah.
one of the busiest people I've ever met in my entire life. You are an herbalist. You see clients every day. You opened up a few years back the Moringa Tree, an all organic, all locally sourced, wholesome, incredible restaurant. You do that every day. Oh, and you have 10 kids.
10 kids.
Oh, and you
Wow.
homeschooled all 10 kids. First of all,
Wow.
tell me a day in the life. What's
day in
a
the
day in the
life?
life?
Okay, so if I got any sleep, I get up the next morning, hopefully at a decent hour. I used to beat myself up and try to have like quiet time in the morning. And then I realized, I heard somebody one time say, you know, a new mom shouldn't beat herself up because she can't spend 2 hours praying with the Lord. She's doing her worship by taking care of that newborn and doing what she was designed to do by doing what God has put her into that chapter of life. And so that always kind of stuck with me. And so I just kind of allow God to just saturate me with like a misting all day.
Yeah.
And so I'll just hear his word here and I'll be praying in tongues there, and we'll just be kind of like networking all day.
Yeah.
But I get up, I try to have a minute of prayer really quickly. And then the kids I have to get on them usually a little bit about getting on their chores because we have a farm. So they have to go take care of the chickens or the sheep or whatever. So they got to go take care of their things. Another kid's supposed to be making breakfast, so I make sure he's doing his job. And then I get all the morning stuff done for, like, if I'm going to make bread for the cafe or whatever, get that done. And then we start on school pretty quickly. They try to get their core subjects out of the way while I'm there. So we do like math and language arts, and it's kind of just making sure that anything that they need me for, the writing or whatever, that I'm there and available. And so we just work through at the dining room table, and I just kind of go through who needs help, as long as they're not goofing off the whole time and making funny jokes. It's mostly boys right now, so I have 8 boys and 2 girls. So the girls were very, they could do their own thing very quietly in the rooms, and the boys are just like, tearing down the walls. So it's like, it's quite a dichotomy. But so I try to help them get things wrapped up. We make lunch. And then I usually head off to the cafe where I just kind of pick up groceries or I drop things off, and then I see clients for the afternoon portion. And so I just help people heal naturally with herbs and food and all the things that God created to help people with alternative healing. And then after that, we wrap up the cafe, and then I head home, pick up whatever I need to on the way home, and I make dinner. Or I'll have somebody help me with dinner, or one of my kids once in a blue moon will make dinner, and that's awesome.
I love it.
Then we just have quiet time for the rest of the night, unless there's some activities going on. But I try to keep our evenings free so we can just kind of unwind and be together.
Isn't it fascinating how patterns evolve and it becomes a way of life, and what seems completely chaotic to somebody else, you're going, that's
Just part of
that's
our
bad.
life.
They do.
Yeah.
It's a well-oiled
Just
machine,
part
it
of it,
sounds
yeah.
like. Yeah.
Just get it done.
So about 20 years ago, right?
Yeah.
Give or take a few years, you began to study natural health, and what led you down that path?
So one of my kids almost died from vaccines, and so that kind of, and before that I had 3 other kids that had vaccinated, and they were all injured, but I didn't know what I was looking for. I just knew that they were sick all the time. We were in and out of the ER. They always had ear infections. We had behavioral issues that were insane. I had a girl who could not stop using the bathroom all day long at school. This was before we started homeschooling. She went up to 2nd grade, I think, and then we pulled her out. But yeah, it was crazy. So then when got so like, I mean, it was just so obvious in my face. And every time I would go in, I would feel so sick. Like I literally wanted to throw up, and I felt Holy Spirit on me so hard, like this is not right. And I didn't know why, and I couldn't put my hand on it, and I didn't have the verbiage. And so when I tried to talk to a doctor about it, he basically bullied me into tears and made me feel like the worst parent on the planet, when I literally just wanted to have a conversation. I wanted to understand why I was doing this, because why did I feel so horrible and so convicted if this was the right thing to do? And so I left that office vowing never to go back to a doctor again for my child's health. And I was going to take my kids' health in my own hands and take care of them myself. And to do that, though, I wanted to be educated, like I want to be on anything. Like I have a bachelor's degree, a dual bachelor's degree. I was going to go back for my master's. Like I love education. I'm a teacher by heart. So I would definitely wanted to be educated if I was going to do this. I wasn't just going to wing it and hope that my kids were healthy. So I just started learning everything that I could about herbs, about food, about essential oils, about like vaccines, like everything. I just started just deep dive into everything. And God really healed him from a lot of the vaccine injury. There was some residuals that I feel like God will heal, that still is kind of working on him, but I mean, he's totally fine today, like, and all my kids, like even the vaccine injured ones, like they all had different things to heal from, but they've definitely come a long way, and almost 100%. And then the other kids that I've had that are not vaccinated at all, I mean, I have the study in my own home, vax versus unvax. Like, it's so obvious to me that why would I even give them any when they can be this healthy versus the other, like almost dying? Like, why would I even take that risk? You know what I mean? Like, I didn't even know it was a risk. And so, but you're just playing Russian roulette when you go in and you hope that it doesn't interact in some way in their little tiny bodies. Like, it's just crazy. So so that kind of propelled me into that whole health world. And then as I started seeing healing from my own family, I was just so passionate about it that I wanted to tell everybody about it. So when we moved to Tennessee, I started teaching classes. I would hold workshops at my house. Like I would just invite mothers over, anybody who wanted to listen, because I wanted to find community too. Like I'm a big community person, event person, so I love to be around people. And so I would just put it out there, is anybody else thinking this way, basically, and looking for other like-minded people. And we just started like a community, and I think that back work really helped propel letting the cafe be successful, because I don't know that an organic restaurant in tiny White House, Tennessee would have survived if the community wasn't educated on why that's important. And just
hungry.
having, and
so
hungry for it.
Yeah, they want to know the information.
To be connected with each other and their farmers, and just in a space where people actually care about their food and care about them. Like, it's not a job. Everybody who worked there for free when we first opened, because they were all so passionate about helping the community and bringing love through like healing of food and just what God has for them. I mean, it's just, it really is like, it's a ministry. Nobody's making money at that cafe, but it is a ministry. It is a very
place.
Yeah.
I mean, I grew up, that's my hometown. And it is just such a beautiful place to walk in there. You pass herbs when you walk in the front door in little pots. And it's just you just feel such a calm when you walk in. It's just, there are good things happening there.
Yeah.
When you talk about your kids and what we didn't know back then, my son is 22 years old. And I will never forget being in the hospital when he was an infant and it being perfectly normal. And this is just the way it is. They came and they got him and told me that we were going to go give him his first shots. And I will never forget the feeling that I had. It was I can't even describe it. I thought it felt like I was handing my child off to
An experiment,
terrible.
And you don't know.
And I remember just sitting in that room just thinking, it's fine. Everybody does this. It's good. It's for his own good. It's good. But what I look back on today is I look back and I think your heart was telling you something was off. Something was not right. And what I've learned over the last 20 years is to listen to that and never, ever, ever discount that. Yeah. And so I think of, nowadays, I think most people would tell you, you know what, I just don't feel great. Do you think most people would say that? I just don't feel great. And I think that a lot of people don't know what it would feel like to feel great.
Yeah.
Do you get that? When people come to see you, is that just a common thing that it's just part of life. We have accepted it as a part of life.
Right. Well, and I do a workshop, and it's from the Children's Health, but they talk about, imagine a world where children don't have allergies, where children don't have transition issues, where they are able to be eye-to-eye contact and engaged in what they're learning, that they're happy, that their mood is elevated, and they're laughing all the time. Like, imagine a world where a child just eats what's before them, and it's healthy, and it's, and they love it. You go to France or other places, and they're served salmon roe as part of their breakfast, and they love it. They'll come back for seconds and thirds.
Right.
And like, what are we serving kids in America? I mean, it's colorless. Like, as long as it checks the USD or their boxes of like, we've got a protein and right. I mean, it's the saddest. The standard American diet is literally the saddest diet ever, and it's just, But I mean, people like the turnaround when I see people are like, I just didn't even know wasn't feeling good. I had no idea that I should be feeling like this. It's just we've gotten so used to sickness as a way of life, and it's.
Wow.
It's not like that's not our we're supposed to have abundant life more abundantly.
Right.
Like that's our calling.
Right.
Not to be sick. How are you going to be ministering to other people and sharing the gospel and taking anything anywhere if you're always sick and in the doctor's office and back at home with this, that, the other, and contagious and can't be around people? Like, how are you serving?
I have great friends who are physicians, and there's so many different lines of thinking. And the one thing that's always fascinated me is the common denominator over the philosophy of natural health, and I don't know if you'd call it pharmaceutical health. I don't know what the terminology would be.
Western medical.
Okay, Western medical. So you kind of look at this. I've never understood why you can't have those conversations.
There's a hard line, and it's there on purpose.
Yeah.
So early on, when herbalists started coming out with things like that, the physicians decided we need to band together, and so we can outlaw people just trying to give people herbs or do other things. And so they actually formed the American Medical Association in an effect to keep herbalists out. And so it was just like, it was an affront basically that and they started demonizing like herbalists and midwives as they try to get people to come into the facilities to have treatments, to birth their babies. And they would send out propaganda of like midwives with no teeth, like their hair all crazy. Do you want this woman birthing your baby? And that was
That's
the propaganda that they were putting forth with herbalists and natural medicine. Would you want this crazy, witch doctor taking care of you? Like, when you can come to our nice clean facility and have our, specialists take care of you. And it was our sterile environment. Yes, this is sterile in more than one way. But that was like the push though, to get away from anything natural that, the way God designed us. I mean, he said the healing of the herbs are, it's like for the nations.
and it's so biblical. And, I look at it and I'm just amazed that when you look at our diet in America, the standard diet, and I'm amazed when people come up and say, you eat so clean, Pastor, you eat so clean. I'm like going, I've had a really bad week.
You're like, it could get cleaner.
But even,
Sure, we can all
even
do
on
that.
a bad week,
if
they're saying my standard diet is like exceptional,
Right.
I'm thinking,
We're in trouble.
what's the rest of everybody else eating?
Yeah, the
right?
same thing.
Yeah.
But you look at it when I compare the foods that we have to my friends who are in Europe, and when they can eat the same amount of bread we eat, and they don't have the same results.
Right.
It's not the same.
All the inflammation.
What is wrong?
Yeah. Well, they
going
have
on?
banned a lot of the things that we use in America. Most countries do not allow genetically modified. They don't allow glyphosate. I mean, I know a lady, there's so many stories, but one lady, she moved from America and she went to the Dominican Republic and she detoxed for 3 months and she did nothing but just eat the cultural food. And she felt so good by the end of just eating whatever the normal fare was over there and the clean air and the clean water. She's like, I'm never moving back to America. She's like, and she didn't do any herbs. She didn't do any parasite cleanses. She didn't do anything. She literally just moved and ate whatever the cultural food is. And that is the science that I have studied as with like Weston A. Price and like that type of concept is like traditional foods cultures. What did people eat hundreds of years ago before we industrialized everything and made it a business? Where we started applying the factory model of how to make cars to the food industry.
Right.
And that came back like, in the Industrial Revolution, where factories were just a big thing, and people were not, like, they were coming to the cities in droves. And so nobody was growing their own food, nobody's making their own bread. Now we have all these people to feed, and food's coming in from outside, but it's already getting rancid and everything by the time it gets there. So people are putting all kinds of, preservatives and other things trying to try to keep it. And it's just like, but I mean, it was just crazy that whole transition, though, of industrializing our food has totally wrecked our health, in the process.
Well, we see our kids.